Okay, so we've got our first in our 3-part series for our wheel pose. Now, wheel pose is a very advanced posture. So in our beginner session today, we're not going to be getting to the full wheel. We're going to be working on perfect exercises to get you there at some point. So whether you come to this beginner session because you're warming up, or you want to do this is going to be your primary way that you are going to work up to your wheel. And we're not going to be doing wheel today, like I said. We're going to be doing other back bends though, that are going to really warm us up. So what do we need to think about for back bends? There's a lot of things in play through back bends. So lower body, we've got our thighs, our hip flexors that we need to make sure are lengthened. Really working on that flexibility. If you can imagine, we're completely the opposite way around. And then we've got our glutes. Our glutes, for me, if I activate my glutes too much, it sends my legs into external rotation, so my knees go out, which we don't want. We want our knees facing up. So just have a think about that. But glutes are definitely a really good way to help that strength for our back bends. The other thing is going to be our upper back. So our upper back versus our lower back, because our lower back we just want for stability, not mobility. So we work this upper back flexibility and mobility. Shoulder mobility, as you can imagine, your arms are up and back and reaching back. And then wrist mobility and strength. Remembering that wrist mobility pain could sometimes cause from a weak core, because the core goes all the way up through the scapula, through the rotator cuff that helps this shoulder joint. If that's weak, that travels down to the wrists, making the wrists immobile and not very strong. So there's a few things in play here that we really need to think about. Okay, so we're going to get started then. Everybody come down to the ground. Setting up like you would for bridge. We're just going to take a couple of breaths here. So really nice inhales and exhales. Feeling that belly rising and falling. Sometimes when you're back bending, whether it's a cobra or you're coming into that wheel, the breath starts to get a bit strained. So we really want to make sure that we're putting in all of these best practices for our breath. Just find that sense of stillness and calm on the mat like we always do. Okay, starting to get into our stretches then. So bridge, we've got our feet set up nice and strongly, hips distance apart, knees facing straight up. If you know that a block in between your thighs is very useful for you, do that. So hands wherever you want them, beside your body. Inhale all the way up into your bridge. Now we want to think about length rather than height. So drag that bit underneath your bum, that crease under your bum, towards the front of the mat. Keep these knees, keep these thighs working parallel towards one another. Think about the big toes grounding. That is a huge cue for when we come all the way up into wheel. Keep breathing here. Feel those quads, feel those glutes activating. All the way down. And again, all the way up. Trying to notice maybe something tiny every single time that you come up into that bridge. Are those glutes firing? Is the big toe grounding? Are you breathing? All the way down. Final time, all the way up. Now this time, if you want to, you can interlace your hands underneath you, little finger side grounding to the mat, and then scoop these shoulders underneath you towards each other, towards the back. So you've got this channel running down the shoulder blades. You're still thinking about length, and the chest is sent high. Keeping that little fingers on the ground. Keep the knees and the thighs drawing in towards one another. Keep those glutes firing. 3, 2, and 1. Really nice. Come all the way down. Good job. Just gently just take your knees from side to side. And keep breathing. Really good. Okay. Rolling all the way over onto our bellies now. Working into our shoulder strength. Upper back and shoulder mobility in our Supermans. So we're going to have our head all the way down, fronts of the feet down, pelvis grounded. Reach those arms out long in front of you. On your inhale, lift the chest up, take that gaze just slightly forward, and then pull the hands back so you've got these cactus arms. You're really using the strength from your shoulders and the shoulder blades. Maybe you come down to the ground. Inhale up, reach forward. If you want to keep that chest up and just reach forward, reach back, absolutely do so. Keep grounding the pelvis. You might just need to tuck that tailbone, work to how your body is, and keep lifting that chest up. Really working this upper back strength and mobility of the shoulders and the shoulder blades, that scapula, because that is something that helps us get up and over. 3, 2, and 1. All the way down. Just rest onto one cheek. Really good job. Hands plant under your shoulders, head to the floor. Inhale all the way up into your all fours, into some nice wrist stretches. So hands planted, fingers spread nice and widely. Start to rotate one direction. Just feeling if there's any soreness or tightness in these wrists. Other way. Okay, now take the wrists so they're facing one another, fingers out to the sides, thumbs to the front of the mat. And then again, take that rotation. This might feel a little bit trickier. And then the other way. Really nice. Final wrist stretch. Take the fingers so they're now completely turned around facing you. Thumbs to the outside of the mat. And then come all the way back. And all the way forward. All the way back. All the way forward. Trying to keep as much of the hand grounding to the mat as possible. Feeling this really nice stretch through the fronts of the wrists. Okay, final time, maybe you stay here. All the way back up, turn those hands around. Coming into our low lunge, bringing this right leg forward. Working the quads, the hip flexors, really nice stretch here. Breathing here. Planting that left hand, big inhale, reach into your easy twist. And then take some arm rotations, taking that arm forward and back, working that shoulder mobility. Trying to reach the fingers as far to the front, to the sky, to the back as possible. Really nice. All the way back, coming into our lizard lunge now, so hands to the inside of that foot, right foot to the outside of the mat. Maybe your hands are on blocks if that's a lot more accessible to you. Stretching the inner thigh on that right side now, and continuing to stretch the hip flexor and the quads. Exhale, coming back through to your all fours. Just resting here, doing some shoulder protractions and retractions, just to again warm up the scapula. So we're going to keep the head in line with the shoulders, and we're going to lift the shoulder blades towards one another. So we're not doing anything else other than lifting the shoulder blades, drawing them towards one another, and then pushing the mat away, separating the shoulder blades. Keep going as slowly as you want. Okay, low lunge, other side, left foot forward. Absolutely take that knee off if that's what you want to do. Breathing here. Coming into the lizard lunge now. Left foot to the outside, hands to the inside. Keep lifting through that chest. Planting the right hand down, big inhale, easy twist. And then taking those arm rotations all the way to the front, all the way to the back. Really nice. Okay, planting that left hand, stepping this left foot straight back into your all fours again. This time we're going to come into active and passive puppy. Maybe you want a block to rest your forehead on. Creep these hands forward, sink the chest down, keep the knees in line with the hips. Maybe you're on your chin, sink the chest down, shoulder blades drawing towards one another. And then on your inhale, push the hands into the ground so much that this fires up the whole of the arms, that lifts off the head off the ground. And you're now separating your shoulder blades. Your core is really corseting into your body. The thumbs are working to pull towards one another, activating those biceps. And then exhale all the way down again, fully release. Inhale, activate, ground those hands. Really work the front of that chest, drawing the thumbs together. Exhale, release. One more time, all the way up. Really work those hands into the ground. All the way down, really nice. Stay in your puppy just for a couple of extra breaths. And then slowly come all the way down to your belly. Resting in Sphinx pose, elbows underneath the shoulders, hands flat down, forearms parallel. Pulling the heart through, almost pulling the hands back on your mat to bring the heart, bring the chest through those arms. Grounding that pelvis down. Driving the weight into the forearms, driving the energy up. Remembering to breathe. Just try this. Try to activate your glutes, squeeze your glutes, and then release them. And just notice if when you activate them, if your toes start to face outwards. If they do, this could maybe mean you've still got really tight hip flexors, and also that it's showing you that you are starting to externally rotate those legs. So that would be really key to think about as you move on to the more advanced back bends. Exhale, come all the way down, just rest on one cheek. Breathe here. We're going to be coming into our half bow and then full bow. If you just want to stay with half, that's absolutely fine. Or you can even come into locust if half bow just isn't accessible to you. So if you're coming into locust, you'd have your forehead down, arms back, and then inhale, drive the hands back so much that lifts the chest off. And then you can take the head down and then keep going through a few rounds. Okay, if we're coming into half bow, come back into Sphinx. I'm going to take this nice and supported, so take the left hand, cross it slightly in front of you so you've got more of a space for the support. Bend up the left leg, reach around with your right hand, and then drive the left hand and foot in towards one another, keeping those shoulders square, trying to keep the knees square to the ground. Breathing here. Keep pushing that energy through the forearm, and then release that left leg. Bend up the right leg exactly the same. Keeping that right shoulder square, keeping that right knee in towards the body, not letting it flare out. Exhale, fully release, come all the way down. Okay, onto the other side, coming back into our Sphinx. Right hand across, Doing the opposite hand, opposite leg to start with. So left leg back, right leg bent. Inhale, drive hand and foot in towards one another. Try to keep the left shoulder square, keep the right knee in, keep pushing the mat away. That right hand, keep the chest nice and lifted. Activate those glutes. And then switch over to the other side. So left leg bent, left hand bent. Inhale, lift. Keep the shoulders square, keep that knee straight down, keep pushing the hand and foot in towards one another. 3, 2, and 1. All the way down, really nice. Just rest onto the other cheek. Just give your hips a bit of a wobble. Forehead to the ground, hands under the shoulders. Really slowly push all the way up and back into this counter pose, into our closed knees, child's pose. Forehead down, hands behind us, resting here. Taking some really nice deep breaths. Feeling that lower back, just give a really nice sigh of relief. Inhale, slowly roll all the way up. Now, if you're coming into another flow, you're just warming up, absolute transition now. Or if that is enough for you and that is exactly what you are after, come into your Shavasana and just decompress for a couple of minutes. Okay, once you feel comfortable with this beginners, go on to the intermediate and then go on to the advanced, and then we'll be practicing a lot more variations of that wheel. Well done for today.